When I think of the universe, my brain ping-pongs between a tiny me and an impossibly large beyond. My eyes glaze over, and I end up with a knot in my stomach, just trying to understand the scale shift, much less my place in relationship to it. Collapsing these two expansive scales, Based on Your Current Trajectory by Rachel Simmons, and Some Bubble Universe by Dong Dong, connect personal relationships and experiences with complex theories of the universe and beyond. Rachel Simmons is a Florida-based artist and art educator. Her diverse practice spans artist books, zines, and socially engaged community art projects. Stemming from a deep curiosity about the natural world and our relationship to it, she regularly integrates art and science in her work. Simmons began developing Based on Your Current Trajectory after the stay-at-home orders of the COVID-19 pandemic. Like many of us around the world, she found herself in a surreal moment where time felt like it came to a screeching halt. She dove into creative projects and began researching time travel, because suddenly time and the subject of time were constantly on her mind. When I first opened Based on Your Current Trajectory, I recognized the departure from Haiti Kyle's flag book structure. It also immediately reminded me of the children's game Guess Who. Indeed, Simmons made the same visual connection when she made a traditional flag book model and laid it flat on its spine. She thought about adding self-portraits on the 2 pages and asked herself how she could run 2 stories across the structure. Based on Your Current Trajectory reads in 2 directions. The red side is adapted from Stephen Hawking's A Brief History of Time. Set against abstracted imagery and letters, the text is broken up and choppy to read across the pages. I get lost in the onslaught of verbs. Estimated, adjusted, calculated, determined, accelerated, mirrored. The other, more blue side of the book features a time-traveling character thinking about the laws of space-time while looking for a disappeared twin brother. While Simmons was researching time, she came across the twin paradox. The theory states that if one twin makes a journey on a high-speed rocket, they will return to Earth to find that they have aged less than the twin who stayed behind. Simmons typically writes fictional texts for her books based on real-life experiences. While experiencing time in an unusual way during the pandemic lockdown, she also had time to think about and process the real-life disappearance of her youngest brother. The text, in a font designed from Simmons' own handwriting, contributes to a more conversational feel than the other side of the book. The illustrations are self-portraits. Close in on her shoulders and face, they create an intimacy as she puzzles through space-time directly in front of us. Her expressions and movement reflect how difficult it can be to understand personal relationships and our relationship to space-time. I like seeing the body language because I see myself in it, how I move when I'm thinking about something complex or so vast and full of wonder. The other side of the book ends with a passage to future desired coordinates. This side also ends with sending out coordinates. Unable to locate her missing brother, she is lost too. But as long as we have coordinates, we exist somewhere in the universe. Birth and death are inevitabilities. In the meantime, there is still a possibility of hope that her twin can be found. bookbinder and book artist Dong Dong explores language, culture, and psychology through sculptural and movable books, paper cuts, photography, and letterpress printing. Some Bubble Universe explores concepts of belonging while living through a transitional experience. When creating this book, Dong was inspired by two distinct influences. One was inflation theory, which describes a brief era of rapid and exponential expansion in the early universe. Mathematical predictions suggest that such inflation could also randomly settle and form bubble universes. Dong's bubble universe connects this theoretical era of rapid expansion with moments of significant transition in her own life. She explains, "When multiple large collisions in my life happened at the same time, I was pulled by several pairs of equal forces. A bubble universe then formed as a stable space for contemplation." The imagery throughout the book is spare, but rich in texture and possibility. As the cloaked figure quietly explores this bubble universe, we are brought through many scenes and passages. Physical holes are cut into the paper, and some pages lift to reveal another space. Dong's second inspiration was an empty basketball court she encountered one afternoon, with steam rising behind it. Although it was a normal day, the scene felt mysterious and otherworldly. She connected this image to what she describes as a peaceful tension in her everyday life, similar to that sense of being pulled by equal forces that she connected to the idea of bubble universes. The cloaked figure examines this unfamiliar bubble universe with a continuous calm. As the book progresses, the character increasingly engages with more of the elements around it. I deeply connect to this initial sense of reticence after a big transition, and then slowly opening up, engaging more, and eventually feeling comfortable with everything around me. Threads and other papers are attached throughout the book. Encountering and touching these physical elements breaks the barrier between the world that I inhabit and the world of the book. Water is another recurring element throughout Some Bubble Universe. For Dong, water evokes fluidity and the ever-changing nature of transition. Some areas are easily recognizable as water. The textures of these rock-like shapes also come from water. Dong cut these shapes out of photos she had taken of bodies of water like Lake Michigan. She made polymer plates from these cutouts and then letterpress printed them. Dong's bubble universe exists between places. She describes it as neither the point of departure nor the destination, but the long train ride one takes to go from one place to another. She subtly reinforces this idea of a transition space with her design decisions. The character is hand-cut from solid black paper and adhered onto the pages, in contrast to the printed textures of the rest of the book. The colors are significant too. As different elements enter and mingle in this bubble universe, color unifies things that originated from a separate common place. In the box, below where the book sits, there is a drawer with 4 letters which appear to have come from the same bundle. Signed with a month and day, they span the greater part of a year. The first one, from January, is full of details and observations fresh from arrival. As the letters progress, we get a sense of establishing routines and familiarity, although perhaps still working out the writer's belonging. It takes time to accept and be accepted in an unfamiliar place. The letters get shorter until they stop containing observations from the writer. Now, it is simply hopes for the recipient. When I went back into the book after reading the letters, I recognized a bundle early on that connects these physical letters to the bubble universe inside the book. We see them again at the end of the book, laying open courtside. Although it is never explicitly stated, I get the sense that this character brought these along into this world, rather than receiving them here. Near the opened letters, we also see the black of the figure, but not in its familiar form. There's an ambiguity to this end. Sometimes I see a puddle, like the character has transformed and transitioned somewhere else, beyond this bubble universe. Other times, I think the character has found enough belonging in this bubble universe to move about freely, finally leaving their cloak behind. It's difficult to relate meaningful narratives of tiny human experience with complex theories of the universe. Based on your current trajectory and some bubble universe, deftly connect the personal and the cosmological, hitting home with their stories of searching, transitions, and hope.